What is up, fellas? It's Parker back with episode 4 of OceanBlock 2. Due to forgetting to record a lot of last episode, we'll quickly go over what's changed. To start off, I crafted up a diving suit. Diving suit allows us to be underwater for an upwards of 10 minutes at a time. This could be a big help later in the episode when we create a small mob farm, so stay tuned for that. Next, we crafted the jar automator. This will automatically run whatever recipe we throw inside it, like this stack of iron. No more having to hit mix all the time. So to start off today's episode, I'm planning on completing quite a few quests today. Going to start off by growing some wheat. This pack is a little odd, and to grow plants, they need to be submerged in water. Simply throwing some dirt underwater, hit it with a hoe and throw down the seeds, and let's start shaking that thing. Just like that, we have more wheat than we'll need for now. And boom, that completed a couple quests. Sadly, the rewards weren't the best. If anyone in the comments can help me figure out what this insomnia charm does, I would greatly appreciate that. Now, to fill up our diving suit, we need to get pressurized air bottles, and to do this, it's pretty simple. First, we have to find ourselves a bubble column somewhere in the ocean. Thankfully, I found one pretty close to our base. Then, when you're inside the bubble column, click with empty bottles to fill them. 8 of these bottles will get you 10 minutes of underwater breathing. Sadly, this still doesn't increase our diving distance, but we'll deal with that further down the line. You remember in the last episode, in that sick boat scene, how we flew by this random temple? Well, today we'll explore that. Sadly, this thing was pretty lame. A bit of parkour up to the top and a few spawners for some lackluster crates. The best thing from this was honestly the magma blocks and soul sand. This structure also had a soul lantern, which is required to go to the nether, so that's a plus. As well, it's a quest completed. This quest completion is sadly locked until we create some obsidian. We have a few other things to do before we can get to that point. Next up, let's finally create ourselves a cobble gen. A cobble gen is a simple little machine that generates cobblestone. The higher the tier, the faster it creates cobble. Level 1 creates 1 cobble per second, but that's a little too slow for my liking. I went with the level 3 generator for now, as it produces 4 cobblestone a second, which is far more than enough for the start of this playthrough. Now, due to the ability to crush compressed cobblestone into gravel, I went ahead and put a compacting drawer on top of the gen, as well as some storage upgrades. After all that, we can hold 2.7 million cobblestone. I think that's enough for now. Now let's get some quests done. It's time to move on to creating a forge. A forge is quite simple to create, and the quests actually do a very good job explaining what you need. Basically, we'll combine water, sand, and gravel in a jar to create a bunch of clay. Combine that clay with sand to create fire clay. Simply smelting the fire clay gets you fire clay bricks. Now, to create the forge, we need 9 liquid heating coils on the bottom. Up and out a block, place a ring on the outside of the coils with a black firestone bricks. Then on the front side, we place a foundry controller and a foundry tank. With a drain, we can pull fluids from whatever is smelted / alloyed inside of it. Throw some lava in the foundry tank, and this thing is ready to rip. Next, to make some casts, we'll throw 4 cast iron ingots in there and wait a little bit. Simply put a plate in the casting table and fill it with cast iron, and it'll make you a cast. We can throw some lava and water into a jar, and that'll go ahead and craft up some obsidian. These quests don't give us a whole lot in terms of resources, but they do give us a bit of obsidian. With cast iron and flint, we can craft ourselves a flint and steel. Light this portal and pray something doesn't come out after us. The quest book does, however, warn us of some dangers that may lurk in the lava dimension, so with that warning, I took some precautions and enchanted up some iron armor. Now, it's not the most protective thing, but a little buffer is better than none. So as we're about to go adventuring, there was an airdrop. Let's see what goodies await. Now, there was a bunch of interesting items in there, but nothing super useful to us just yet. I mean, just look at this light we got. Definitely a block that's going to be used in future builds. So with that out of the way, let's go adventuring. Now, keep in mind, I have not watched a single video of others playing OceanBlock, so everything here is a surprise to me. They warned us of the nether, but this wasn't exactly what I had expected. It's definitely cool and interesting, so for now, I'll build a little platform and we'll come back to explore this once I come to a conclusion on how I want to navigate this area. From this quest, we got a storage controller, which is awesome and we'll put to use later. We also got a chaos box. Now, from the looks of it, we might need to be a little careful. Oh boy, what is that? Well, that's a Taz. This creature did drop ourselves an abyssal fragment, and after collecting 4 of these, we can craft an abyssal pearl. Who knows what that does? Next up, we need to create a coke oven. Simply combine some bricks, clay balls, and magma pieces. 27 of these and a whack from the hammer creates our first immersive engineering machine. Fill that thing up with coal and let her sit, and we'll start creating coal coke for some real steel. Next, we need to complete the weird goo quest. But in order to do that, we need to create a mob farm. To craft conveyor belts, we need a lot of slime. So we throw 6 kelp in a cooking pot to start cooking up some kelp pearls. We then smelt the kelp pearls in a furnace to create slime balls. Thankfully, we had quite a lot of iron at this point, so crafting the 8 iron swords and 3 blocks of iron wasn't the biggest hit to our supply. With that, we can craft the mob masher. So, while we wait for the kelp to smelt, let's start a small yet effective mob farm. I'm about 20 blocks below the island, then going to make a big room. And because I believe everyone knows how to make a cobblestone cube, I'll save you the hassle. And boom! The room is built. After some time, we had a few conveyors ready to place, so here's the idea. We place a bunch of conveyors down, which mobs can spawn on. It pushes the mobs into a corner where they are killed by the mob masher. Pretty simple. Sadly, we'll need to break the mega torch to allow mobs to spawn, but hopefully we don't need to wait that long to get some rotten flesh. So while I'm waiting on rotten flesh, why not put that drawer controller to use? So after running out of iron, waiting on the forge, chopping down some trees, we were ready to craft what I estimated around 18 compacting drawers. I also wanted to make a little expansion to see what the chisel blocks were all about. And let me tell you, these blocks changed my life. No, they really didn't. And with a beautiful base expansion, it was finally time to throw down some drawers. Simply connect all the drawers to the controller, configure it with this card, and you are set. And look at that, just like that, we got all of the ores from gravel getting auto-compacted. A dream has come true. And with all that, we make a quick jump back into the water to check on the mod farm. And just as expected, this farm was going to work perfectly for our needs at the moment. Now, I have never worked with Primogel glue, but it seemed pretty straightforward. Simply craft yourself the goo, throw it down somewhere on the island, and feed it a bit of sugar. Over time, it'll consume iron blocks and turn that into ferrocore ore. It's a bit of an expensive process, but in order to proceed through quests, it must be done. Upon returning, we can see that the iron blocks turn into ferrocore ore. Simply breaking this with a pickaxe resulted in raw ferrocore ore. To continue onwards in the quest line, we need to create a motor. A motor requires a bunch of materials, which honestly sucked to create. Hopefully in the future, we'll automate this step. But fear not, for the time being, we'll skip all the boring parts, and here's a motor. The quest does, however, give us a random amount of coils, which is a big help for creating motors the next time we need them. Now to continue, we need to craft some netherrack. Simply using a superheated jar, which we get by putting a soul campfire or soul fire underneath a jar, we can combine lava and redstone to create a 16 netherrack. We then need to sift the crushed netherrack in a sieve with a gold mesh and lava. We currently don't have lava automated, so this process did take a little bit. And thankfully, none of the materials were that hard to come by. Just had to be patient with the sieve, and we had a few alloys. And with that quest completed, we got ourselves yet another chaos box. I wonder what might happen this time. And this is Alfred. He's a mean green fighting machine. Well, minus the green. But after a long and glorious battle, we came out victorious. Next in the quest book, it's finally time we can create some power. Using lava and water to get steam, we can generate some RF. Now don't get me wrong, RF is straight up my alley. We can make machines, big machines. But we're stuck on an ocean. I'm no civil engineer quite yet. So even though I would absolutely love to create some power and move straight into applied energistics, I think we're gonna avoid that for now. Next episode, I think we'll get into a highly underrated mod and plan on automating everything. If you liked the video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe as it helps out the channel immensely. Until next episode, keep automating.